Welcome back to Psyche Institute, where we decode human attraction using insights from psychology and real-life examples. Today, we're diving deep into the small, often unnoticed behaviors that reveal hidden attraction. You might have caught someone staring at you, or maybe they've smiled at you but looked away quickly. What do these subtle signals mean? And more importantly, how can you read them to gauge someone's feelings accurately? By the end of this video, you'll have a better understanding of these behaviors and how they translate to genuine attraction. Let's jump right into it. Number 1. The quick glance away, shy glances revealing hidden attraction. You're at a social gathering, and you notice someone staring at you from across the room, but the moment you make eye contact, they quickly look away. What's going on here? Are they shy, embarrassed, or are they attracted to you? This behavior often signals attraction, particularly when someone is shy or unsure of how their feelings will be received. According to Dr. Jeremy Nicholson, quick glances away are a subconscious way of avoiding vulnerability. They feel exposed when you catch them, and by looking away, they're trying to protect themselves emotionally. Let's say you're at work, and you often catch a colleague looking at you during meetings. Each time, they quickly look away when you notice. At first, you might think it's a coincidence, but if this behavior continues over time, it's a subtle sign of attraction. They might be unsure of how you'll respond, so they avoid holding the gaze to avoid revealing too much. Another situation is in social settings, like at a cafe or a party. If someone repeatedly glances your way but avoids prolonged eye contact, it's a clear signal that they're drawn to you, but they might be nervous about making their feelings obvious. Number 2. Leaning back. Why it's not always a sign of disinterest. Let's talk about body language, specifically leaning back. Imagine you're on a date and the other person leans back in their chair. You might think, oh no, they're not interested. But that's not always the case. According to Albert Mehrabian, leaning back can sometimes indicate comfort or an attempt to regulate emotional intensity. It doesn't always mean they're pulling away emotionally. When someone feels overwhelmed by attraction or nervousness, they might lean back to try and maintain composure. Consider a date where the conversation gets intense. You're talking about something personal, and your date leans back as if they're creating distance. This doesn't necessarily mean they've lost interest. Instead, it could indicate that they're processing the emotional intensity of the moment and need a little physical distance to feel in control. However, if they lean back but keep eye contact or maintain the conversation, it's likely they're still engaged. Also, in group settings, if someone is leaning back while talking to you but keeps smiling or nodding in agreement, it's a sign they're interested but trying to maintain a calm or cool demeanor. They may not want to seem too eager or emotionally vulnerable. Number 3. The smile that quickly fades. Is it shyness or something else? Smiling is one of the most telling signs of attraction, but what does it mean when someone smiles at you and then quickly looks away or stops smiling? This behavior is common in people who are shy or nervous. Paul Ekman, a leading expert on facial expressions, notes that quick smiles can signal social anxiety or insecurity, not necessarily a disinterest. Imagine you're at a party and someone smiles at you from across the room, but the smile quickly fades when you notice. This is a classic sign of someone who is attracted to you, but may be too shy to maintain the interaction. They feel exposed by smiling, so they quickly retreat by looking away or stopping the smile. If this happens repeatedly throughout the night, smiles that quickly fade but reappear, it's a sign that they're interested but unsure how to proceed. This pattern often occurs in people who are not comfortable with being obvious about their feelings. Another example is during casual conversations. Someone might smile at a joke or comment, but when you make eye contact, the smile fades. They're probably feeling a little self-conscious about revealing their attraction through the smile. Number 4. Crossed arms. The difference between insecurity and disinterest. Crossed arms are often seen as a defensive gesture, but it's not always a sign of disinterest. Body language experts like Joe Navarro explain that crossed arms can also indicate insecurity, nervousness, or even comfort in certain situations. Let's say you're on a date, and the person across from you has their arms crossed. Your first instinct might be to think they're closed off or uninterested. But if they're also smiling, maintaining eye contact, or engaging in conversation, The crossed arms are more likely a sign of nervousness. In some cases, crossed arms are a form of self-soothing, particularly in situations where someone feels vulnerable. They might be attracted to you, but are trying to protect themselves emotionally. Watch for other cues. If they're still leaning in slightly or seem engaged in the conversation, it's a sign that their arms are crossed out of habit or nervousness, not rejection. Number 5. Avoiding eye contact. Is it disinterest or something more? Eye contact is a powerful tool in communication, but what if someone can't hold your gaze? Does that mean they're not interested? Not always. Avoiding eye contact can be a sign of nervous attraction, especially in people who are shy or socially anxious. Imagine you're at a cafe with someone, and every time you look at them, they look away. You might think they're not paying attention, but in reality, they could be too nervous to maintain eye contact. Social anxiety often makes people avoid direct gazes, not because they're disinterested, but because they feel vulnerable. A good way to test this is to notice if they look back at you once you look away. If they're sneaking glances when you're not looking, it's a clear sign of attraction. They're just too nervous to hold the gaze when you're looking directly at them. Number 6, casual touch versus intimate touch. How to tell the difference. Touch is one of the most powerful nonverbal ways to express attraction. But how do you differentiate between casual touch and intimate touch? Let's say you're talking to a friend and they casually brush your arm. How do you know if it's just a friendly gesture or something more? According to psychologist Matthew Hertenstein, casual touches are brief and usually occur in neutral areas, like the shoulder or arm. But intimate touches tend to linger and involve more sensitive areas, like the lower back or hand. If you're on a date and someone touches your hand briefly but lets their hand linger for a moment, that's a sign of attraction. Another telltale sign is if they find excuses to touch you repeatedly throughout the interaction, whether it's a playful tap on the arm or brushing something off your clothes. Number 7, always too busy. Is it a red flag or something else? When someone is always too busy to spend time with you, it can be confusing. Are they genuinely busy or are they avoiding you? You've been texting someone, and every time you try to make plans, they say they're too busy. While it's easy to assume they're not interested, that's not always the case. People lead busy lives, and sometimes poor time management is the real issue. However, if someone is interested in you, they'll try to carve out time, even if it's just for a quick coffee or a phone call. A red flag would be if someone constantly cancels plans last minute without offering an alternative. That could signal emotional unavailability or disinterest. On the other hand, if they apologize for being busy and suggest another time to meet, it's a good sign they're still interested. Number 8, the mirroring effect, strengthening attraction through subtle behavior. Mirroring is a subtle but powerful sign of attraction. When someone mirrors your body language, gestures, or speech patterns, it's a subconscious way of creating a connection. You're out with someone, and you notice that when you take a sip of your drink, they do the same. Or when you lean forward, they also lean forward. These are examples of mirroring, which builds rapport and makes the other person feel more connected to you. It's an unconscious behavior that shows they're attuned to your emotions and actions. If you notice someone mirroring your gestures, it's a strong indication of attraction. To deepen the connection, you can try mirroring them back, creating a feedback loop that strengthens the emotional bond. Number 9, subtle emotional investments. How to recognize them. Emotional investments are often subtle, but they're key indicators of attraction. These are the small, thoughtful gestures that show someone is investing in the relationship. You've mentioned to someone that you love a particular type of tea, and the next time you meet, they bring it for you. Or they remember details about a story you told weeks ago. These are signs that they're emotionally investing in you, even if they're not overtly expressing their feelings. Another example is when someone goes out of their way to check on you or offers emotional support during tough times. These small but meaningful gestures show they're building an emotional connection, even if they haven't explicitly said they're interested. 10. Reciprocal vulnerability. How emotional openness strengthens attraction. Finally, let's talk about vulnerability. Brené Brown talks about how vulnerability is the foundation of meaningful relationships. When someone opens up to you emotionally, it's a strong sign of attraction. How you respond to their vulnerability can either strengthen or weaken that bond. Imagine you're having a deep conversation and the other person shares something personal about their past. If you respond with empathy and share something personal in return, it creates a reciprocal vulnerability that deepens the connection. On the flip side, if someone opens up to you and you respond with indifference or change the subject, it can weaken the bond. Paying attention to these moments of vulnerability and responding with openness is a powerful way to strengthen attraction. Attraction is a complex web of behaviors and emotions. But by understanding these subtle signs, from shy glances and mirrored gestures to casual touches and emotional investments, you can get a clearer picture of someone's true feelings. It's not always what they say, but what they do that reveals the most. Thank you for watching. If you found this video helpful, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell for more in-depth psychological insights from Psyche Institute. Until next time, stay curious and keep exploring the mind.